The final portion to our workshop today is that we're going to hear briefly from each of our 4 groups. We ended up with 4 groups, a report out just on what happened in your group, the nature of the discussion, if you came up with any project ideas, and what you intend to do with that following today. It is not intended that necessarily everybody that was together today is definitely going to be co-partners on putting in a project idea, but we hope that this exercise facilitated some conversation that kind of gets you going in that direction. So why don't we start with our friends from the hallway environment? Is that all right? Yes, she says reluctantly as she walks forward. And Mary, if you would come up to the mic, because we're actually going to video these. I should have probably said that in advance. Just so we can. Else go first? I'm just kidding. Okay, my name is Mary Gutierrez, and I was told I was voluntold just that I would be representing the group. We were made up of Jacqueline Dell, Larry Stimmel, Rick O'Connor, Jan Caffrey, Dave Robow, Donna Clark, Jill Cleaver, Heather Reed, Barbara Clark, Felicia Knight, and Jessica Kausch. So we decided that we would start off with a festival of sorts that would bring public awareness to some of the environmental issues that are happening in our community, and we decided to call it Festival of Environmental Awareness. This would probably be a 2-day event, and it would be expanded on that. It would actually become a long-term outreach education component, which we know is not specifically underlined in the criteria that's part of a restore. However, we felt that it would still be a benefit because by educating the public, it would in turn eventually, maybe in the short term and the long term, help with water quality improvements, which is underneath environmental criteria, as well as some other, which with a water quality improvement also comes habitat restoration, habitat preservation. So it's really all tied together. Some of the components that we would discuss would be, invasive species, such as the lionfish issues, maintaining your septic systems, getting septic systems off onto sewer, having incentivization programs and things of that nature, talking about just different components associated with the environment and how we can all do small things to make a big difference. So although it is education, it still fits the criteria, and when I write the application, I will make sure that I outline that information.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. How about tourism? Great.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Robert Overton. I'm the Executive Director of the University of West Florida Historic Trust, and I was nominated by Tony here, Tony McRae, and voted in by the rest of my committee while I was busy looking at my phone to do this. But we had a pretty lively conversation, and a number of options came up, but what we actually chose to write down was the creation of a heritage trail plan. And this would be multiple heritage trails. I finally were able to corral them at about 25, but we had topics on African American heritage, maritime heritage, colonial archaeological heritage, the cultural, one of them that Courtney was back here with the ballet, but various cultural events, and a number of trails that they had. The groups that this would cover all of Escambia County, including Pensacola Beach. The groups, the agencies that were partnering with this, and some of them put in even though they weren't here, but would be natural partners, with the National Park Service, Mother Wit Institute, African American Heritage Society, the Ballet Pensacola, Florida Public Archaeology Network, Pensacola Lighthouse, who John was here, the UWF Historic Trust, it's my group, the University of West Florida, we threw them in there, University of West Florida Archaeology Institute, St. Michael Cemetery, and the Chappie James Museum, and I'm sure there are many others, but that's what we came through for our short period of time. The Historic Trust, my group would serve as the lead. I told them I could not provide a 10% match unless they passed the hat around, but we could do management of that and coordinate, and it could help raise some funds for some matching if we did it. The primary eligible activity would, of course, be promotion of tourism in the Gulf Coast region, including recreational fishing. We could do a fishing trail, so that's a portion. The secondaries fall under infrastructure projects benefiting the economy and ecological resources, including port infrastructure, primarily with the benefiting of the economy, because we are improving the wayfinding and the signage into the community. The other would be excuse me, workforce development and job creation, not only for the trails, but potential for tour guides who are giving those things. Had a number of other options. Please list all criteria, and the draft selection criteria of the project addresses basically it's tourism, tourism opportunities, infrastructure projects, job creations. I can't even read my own writing sometimes. Let's see. Benefiting underserved, lots of criteria we've got there. Sustainability efforts, planning and partnerships, overall budget with doing 25 trails. We've got an average cost, and I'm going to jump down to budget justifications. We are worked on a number of these trails, so we have a pretty good idea of what that's going to cost. But it included the actual creation and the signage for the trails, marketing of that technology, because we want to make sure that we were doing some ADA requirements with those. There's some opportunities with technology now that we could do at these trails for some solar powered pieces, and some public programming and promotional printing. But grand total, you told us to think big, we're looking at $1,787,500. This is all based on some previous cost experience and some good guessing. And other information relevant to your project. This would cover multiple topics, multiple cultures, really a good blend of our whole community. So, thank you.
Lots accomplished in 30 minutes, huh? All right, we're going to move to workforce and economic development. Let's start with the group that was seated right here. All right.
Well, if I'd known they were taping it, I would have forgotten my pen and just put my head down. But our group had a number of nonprofit organizations and one for-profit individual who is here with a community PYP organization group. And we chose our project to be called LEGO, standing for Learning Environmental Growth Organization. And the reason we're using that is we're going to build our community back block by block, one little bit at a time, but the ideas are just open-ended. It's a very diverse color platform that we're operating on, and lots of little quirky pieces can be added, or you can just do basics. We think that the after-school care and training opportunities for children is the number one place we need to start, because we all agreed that the education and the absence of activities for youth is what's driving a lot of the problems in our community. So we wanted to establish some youth resource centers that would actually incorporate digital as well as hands-on training opportunities. We tried to look for intergenerational opportunities because people felt that the families need retraining as well, and the individuals in those families don't understand the concepts. And so it's a holistic approach to community by going through the children as the grabber. Some of the things we came up with, the East Side group, of course, has Chappie James, and they've got a wonderful project there that would be an infrastructure improvement for this community that would establish a museum and a flight training center that's associated with that, as well as a digital center, and that would be an ability for the youth in that area to walk to and from the place. So we would make certain that the sidewalks and all the infrastructure getting from the homes to that area were correctly done. But as well, we could have groups brought in by some of the youth groups like Milk and Honey with their van service, so that we could begin bringing kids who don't normally get the opportunity to go out and get involved, bring them into the program. This might eventually lead to us actually having a bus system that would meet the needs of the youth of our community, as some communities do, where you just have to show your school ID and you can ride free to or from any activity. They also talked about wanting to kick into or reactivate, I guess, the green plan for under the interstate, that we have a plan in place that's been in place for, I guess, 7 or 8 years that's not been implemented, and we could bring that in. And in that, we could incorporate a lot of environmental program stuff. Part of our after-school program for the kids would be actually training them for skills that could lead to job experiences: steel drum manufacturing, fly tying, planting, rowing. If we had a commercial kitchen, we could have intergenerational activity where the parents came in as their contribution. They taught the family recipes, the kids learned to cook it, they learned culinary skills, and as a sustainable project, we would come out with saleable products like the ties the flies for the fishing with the steel drums and cookbook. Maybe that's a healthy cookbook. That would help us in getting them to eat more healthily, and we could serve healthy food and all as the refreshments there. And we did not get to a budget. We think we're going to need a lot more money than the group that did get to their budget, since we have quite a few infrastructure needs that are going on. But we kind of felt like our project covers all the baseline criteria as well as pretty much a lot of the bonus ones, and it is a one-size-fits-all, but that's the beauty of what we would like to create, is that each component of the community could come up with a program that attracts that particular group of people, but we would have the concerted support CEII step forward as the leader group. They've done federal activities before. They've done community-wide stuff. Our area was Escambia County, and we feel like we need someone to just make sure any program that's already in place doesn't get reinvented. We would just, spread it around and be the connectors for all of those things. And I know I'm leaving some details out. Oh, there's a green rebuilding program where we wanted to train kids in the renovation of buildings using the green program, and that would give us a workforce that knew how to do it, as well as bringing the building contractors in as part of our cash input, and we could also get the restaurant associations in as part of our cash input. So.
Thank you. Let me take a minute just using that example to ask a question of Dewberry and county folks if they're still here. So that concept, how much of that would need to be fleshed out to be put into the project portal? Could one of you address that?
Yeah, I'll try and address that question briefly. I think I shared with one of the groups when I was going around answering questions. For project applications, think about the project that you want to put forward as a typical construction project for a building or something like that. How much do you need to know about that project to get it to a 30% level? That's essentially what we're looking for now as part of these applications. We want to know what is the project, what elements are required to go into the implementation of the project, how do they tie to the benefits, how do the benefits then tie back to, again, that basic science understanding of if I do this, then this occurs. You've got to tell that story. And then how does that relate back to your budget, long-term planning? How is the project not only going to be implemented today, but how is it going to be paid for 5 years, 10 years from now? All of those things need to be thought through and at least developed conceptually in your application. So think about it as a 30% plan at this point.
Very helpful, thank you. All right, we have one other workforce and economic development group that was here. All right, come on up.
My name is Vinnie Wibbs, and I found out about 5:30 last night that I was going to be substituting for Rick Dye from the Reentry Alliance of Pensacola. And then I sat in on the little breakout session. The next thing I know, I was the only guy with a pad. And so I ended up taking notes. The good news for our group was that we were quite ably led by Dr. Michelle Taylor from the Escambia School District. She took over the responsibility, and then she was ably supported by about 13 other members of various organizations, all of whom chose to speak for the most part at the same time. And after a little refocusing, we did decide on what I am quite certain to be the real award-winning project. We selected to develop as our project a world art entrepreneurial apprentice program. I can read that, and it's misspelled, but it's quite accurate. The concept being that we wanted to have individuals trained to be future artists, to work. We would pick people that were developmentally disabled, people that were not working but wanted to be a part of the job force, and actually train them. We picked as a specific location the Belmont de Villiers Cultural Center area down at the corner of Belmont and de Villiers. We listened to the report on the importance of collective impact, and as our lead agency, the Escambia County School District, but we had a Soft Skills Training Institute, we had the Workforce Escarosa, we had both Pensacola State College and the University of West Florida as the partners that would join with us in the development of our program. Our focus, our primary focus was going to be on workforce development and job creation, with a secondary interest in promoting tourism. We know and recognize the value of the Belmont de Villiers area and its cultural background, and so we were going to capitalize on that and hopefully to bring, as we develop the school, we'd be bringing tourists down with their fat wallets to purchase some of the great stuff that we'd be developing there. And the fried chicken on the corner, yeah, the Five Sisters, that's for sure. We talked about how important it was to address the specific criteria. We had the little script that was ably pointed. Instead of going into detail, I kind of, for the most part, circled things, but we recognize tourism and tourism activities. Job creation, industry development, and growth were important to us. We wanted to capitalize on the bonus things, and obviously, with our focus traditionally, underserved persons were things that we were considering. Community, the development of the Belmont de Villiers area was important to us for the specific neighborhood benefits. We had a number of other different bonus criteria, which was going to be used to support the budget request. And our budget request ended up being including the purchase of a building, the major renovations to the property located down in that area, the paid staff and executive director for that, the utilities, our total budget, and we used it over a 4-year period, $3,380,000. We want to take that 30%. We want to get it up front. I'm supposed to pick it up before I leave here today. The number of people that we would be working with and training averaged 10 a year for a 4-year period, so a total of 40 people in this program. And thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, I do hope that process was helpful to you as you start really thinking about, I know many of you have been thinking about project ideas already. Some are kind of new to that process. So I hope that short exercise helped move you further along from the point that you came into the session today. Our hope is that you will continue to work with each other. You'll see that in your packet, we have provided the contact information for everybody who registered. It is organized by topic based on what you registered yourself as. So if you want to find the folks that were in your small group, hopefully they'll all be listed under that same topic, and you can flip through that contact list that we hoped would make it easier for you to continue to collaborate with the folks you spoke with today, or to reach out to others that you knew were in the room but didn't have a chance to talk to today. We do have, Stella, do we have anything else to go over in terms of future opportunities?
I think we're just going to make an announcement on the next meeting that you already said.
May 4th and June 1st, is that correct? And I believe they're both listed in your first presentation from this morning. So as a reminder, those are opportunities to engage. Those of you that have businesses as well or know of folks in business, there's going to be a condensed version of this. Todd with the Pensacola Chamber is seated here, and they have been blasting out information about their session that they will be hosting, trying to bring the business community also up to speed on what you've learned about today. We greatly appreciate you spending time here at Gulf Power. I definitely want to give a big thanks to United Way that has been videotaping all of this. So in addition, I did not mention this in the morning, but in addition to the presentations being available, I think you, like I, gathered a lot of great additional insight, particularly through the questions and answers that were asked today and the responses from Dewberry staff, that if you were only looking at the materials, you might not glean that information. So we will be working to get these videos put in a format where people can click in and actually watch the video if they were not able to come today. I've worked on a few federal grants in my lifetime too, and I know that everything I learn in the first webinar whenever a federal agency provides information I don't know at the time how critical that information is because I can't absorb it all. So later, as I'm working through the application, I want to go back and really think through once it's very relevant to me at that time. So we're hopeful that these videos would provide that opportunity for you to have that look back at what was said today again. The one other closing comment I'd like to make is, please do remember that this is not a static process. It is continuing to evolve. Everything that has been shared today is exactly as it is today. At the next meeting, there will be changes. They may just be nuanced changes, or they may be larger changes. I think we anticipate more nuance, that we're actually kind of clear on where we're headed now. But please know that you will need to keep tuning back into the myescambia.com/restore site for further information, or join in on any of those monthly Restore Advisory Council meetings. They are public meetings held at the courthouse on the first Monday of first Monday of every month at 4 o'clock at the public courthouse. Everybody is welcome to attend those as well. So please keep up to speed on what's going on. I think it's also important to reiterate Mike's earlier comment, this is not a one and done for our community. So we do have an opportunity when the project portal opens to submit the first year of project ideas. But then as we move forward in the future, there will be multiple opportunities, which really just takes us back to Leslie's comments and underscores the importance of us truly collaborating, not just partnering, but really collaborating and aligning vision and resources toward these larger project ideas. I would say that the numbers that were thrown out today, while they may feel big to you as an organization, they are not big in the order of the numbers that the commission is talking about or that the Restore Advisory Council is contemplating. So when we say shoot big, just remember that your scale, based on what you currently do, may be a little different than what they mean when they say big, because they mean big. B-I-G, all caps, big, okay? But what comes with that, I think we all learned from the presentations today, is the responsibility of having very clear purpose and mission, identified outcomes that can be traced back to research that shows that those outcomes, in fact, will follow from the actions that would be funded. And that's incumbent on all of us as citizens of this community to make sure that that happens. What was presented today included some questions from those of you that are still here and some who have left. I, just as a citizen of Escambia County, would say to you, keep in mind this is just a public forum that we wanted to host to bring people other than the usual suspects together on this topic. But it is our responsibilities as citizens to voice our position on these things. And there is a public forum that is presented to us every month to do that. So I would encourage you, as both a citizen and as a representative of the organization that you serve in the capacity that you're here today, to take advantage of those opportunities as this train continues to move down the line, and hopefully for the much awaited benefit of all of our community that we serve. Not pockets of it, but our entire community. With that, I'll ask Dewberry, do we have any final comments? We're good. Along those lines, we will provide this list of everybody who registered for the event. So if you did not formally register and you just came today, your name is not on that list. We will provide that list to Shelley at the county. There are emails that they send out when there are updates made to the site, so you don't have to constantly go in. And so we will have that complete list added to that site. But please know, as a citizen, you have an opportunity to go to that same site and put yourself on that distribution list so that you'll receive directly from the county any information regarding updates on Restore. Okay? All right. Thank you again to the planning committee that pulled all of this together, and I hope the rest of you have a safe and wonderful day. Thank you.